Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Do your protest. You guys have the right to the protest, all that kind of stuff.
Business owners are getting fed up. They don't feel like they're supported. And it's more and more business there. So I did find, especially a lot of underground clubs.
I'm from a pretty small town, and it's really just in the big cities and stuff. I feel like it's very selective with the small towns.
Enough is enough now. You want your life, take control of your life. Stop waiting for somebody to actually give it to you.
Never before have as many people died from, overdoses, suicide, stuff like that, broken hearts even. Seniors dying alone, haven't seen their families for a year, and nobody's allowed to visit them. We're not even allowed to see or pay our respects and say our goodbyes. People need to start thinking this is a lot bigger than wearing a stupid mask at Walmart. You're trying to shut down our businesses and our ability. Never mind that, forget all of that. Keeping us 6 feet apart, muzzled, so we can't have human connection. And people need people. And once we put those people back over profit and put unity in the community, then we can win. We're 99%. We're 99%, man. It's time to stand up.
We're clearing everyone off the statue for now.
5 minutes ago I was hanging out here, and then now we're blocking off the statue. What's the purpose for that?
We're just having everyone clear off, buddy.
I know, but what's the purpose thing? Is it because of the stay-at-home order, or?
I have to ask the bosses, man.
At the end of the day, you got to obey your masters, right?
And like we could literally be coming to everybody and saying, you guys are all in breach. Let's get everyone's identification. Let's start ticketing. We're not doing it, right?
Yeah.
Do your protest. You guys have the right to the protest, all that kind of stuff. But we've got a job to do. You guys got your stuff to do. That's all we're doing, right?
Ontario, for the past 9 weeks, we went from 60 people to 2,000 in that short amount of time.
In the sake of public peace and maintaining the peace, I removed myself from where I was encamped, even though I was legally entitled to stay there. I thought that it would be best to keep things as peaceful as possible.
Sydney Fizzard for Rebel News. I'm here in downtown Toronto at Queen's Park, where the weekly anti-lockdown protest / freedom rally is going to be taking place. Today I was lucky enough to ask the protesters some questions and hear what they had to say about the lockdowns that are taking place right now.
Freedom is essential! Freedom is essential! Freedom is essential! Freedom is essential! We are all essential! We are all essential!
All right, so you're here at the anti-lockdown protest, the freedom rally. What brings you out here today?
It's great to connect with people who are like-minded, as well as stand up for our rights and freedoms that are being stripped from us.
Well, justice. I'm sick and tired of seeing people taking advantage of each other in a situation where they know the solution is really just to stand up and say no.
I'm just here to make sure that the message gets out to everybody nice and clearly that, we don't want any more lockdowns. And I am working with Vlad and We Are Essentials, and we are getting businesses open. Many people would recognize me from being there at Huff's Gym at the time with Sergeant Paul Brown, right? And that's why now Sergeant Paul Brown has been gag ordered and been kept quiet, because if they saw that a police officer stood out and said hey, I don't want any more lockdowns, and if everybody opened up and said no more of this crap, we would not be going through this tyranny anymore. And that's what I need to start telling people, and that's what I've been trying to show them. That's why they need to be impenetrable, like my clothing line, is that you have your own choice of mind. You have your own choice of freedom to actually dictate how you want to live your life. Stop giving it back to this government. Stop voting into this damn system that hasn't been working for you guys for years, centuries, really. And take control of your life again. Take control of your kids. Take them out of the schools. You know what I mean? Restaurant business, open up. Enough is enough now. You want your life, take control of your life. Stop waiting for somebody to actually give it to
you. What is the biggest problem that you see with the lockdowns?
The biggest problem with the lockdowns? Just the lack of scientific evidence that justifies them. Yeah, that's it. That's all, man. Nobody's saying nothing. It's been 2 years or 2 weeks at a time, and it's nonsense. So, make it make sense. That's it.
We have a generation of kids who would have never been hurt at all by this. Their primary caregivers would have never been hurt. And now their lives will never be the same.
The kids cannot be locked down for a second summer. Children have not been able to see their friends, go to the theme parks, go to any sporting events. They're not allowed to play sports, but they can watch the Leafs, the Raptors. This is ridiculous. The children are suffering. just as much and adults too, and they just don't even know it.
Forcing people into fear mainly, and forcing them to believe that they can't be safe just walking out into parks. They can't be safe unless they're outside with masks on. They need to fear other people.
All the destruction of the businesses, all the destruction of economy, and all the inability for people to shop for regular items that normally you need. But as they done that, we are really only buying food now because all the other places are closed. And for example, I'm one of the people who doesn't like to buy online, so they don't get my business.
The children, man, the children, to be honest. Like I'm 19, I've definitely lost a fair share of my, growing up and stuff, but it's nothing like these kids. I'll tell you, I got my mom's boyfriend, his grandkid, he's about 2.5, almost 3, and he's never spoken a word yet because he spends 8 hours a day in daycare, and all the adults that can speak, they wear masks, right? So he hasn't even said mom or dad yet, no words yet, because I guess he hasn't seen people moving their mouths enough to learn it. So that's a big one. It's definitely the kids.
It's just like the whole coercion of keeping everybody silent. But I've already been noticing that from years before because people have already been conditioning about just getting the money and not worrying about feelings. So it made this whole entire now lockdown much more easier because everybody was like already paid out now. So as long as they're paid out and you can keep them hush-hush, yeah, it's easy to keep people silent, right?
Just locking down people doesn't solve problem. Doug Ford, Justin Trudeau, and so forth, thinks that locking up people is going to stop. They don't understand that you're not talking to a vegetable. People are human beings. They have minds. They need to get out. They need intervention and so forth. And when you start putting pressure like that, people who can't take much start cracking up. The TTC was saying that it's been the biggest suicide this year, with the transit.
Let's mention some good media. Rebel News, you can find them on YouTube. You can find Rebel News on Rumble. You can find Rebel News on...
You can fight the fines at fightthefines.com.
Do you think the police issue stay-at-home order tickets inconsistently with regards to some of the other protests that we've seen popping up in the city?
There's definitely a harboring ground for police to issue tickets to lockdown protesters rather than other protests that are going on in the city, and that's just where they see they can enforce because we're at a minor inconvenience because we're attacking the sort of things that are poignant, the issues that need to be heard to the public, the stuff that's not told by mainstream media.
Very inconsistently. They target whoever they feel is not going to cause them a problem. We've seen them target old women with signs, anyone and everyone. And we saw last week with Palestine and Israel, that protest, and that was just left alone. And those guys were not peaceful. We saw the violence that happened there. We've been peaceful for 15 months, and the police always come and give us a hard time. They gave us a hard time yesterday in Mississauga doing a fitness camp. So, yeah, nothing is consistent with these stay-at-home laws and emergency act.
I see some quite of bit of change since several weeks, and we are now seem to kind of understand each other to the point where I don't see much of an interference of police in several weeks now. It used to be much worse in winter time. These were still isolated incidents. We never had arrested of a number of people more bigger than 1 or 2 or 3, perhaps before. Now it's okay. We seem to be kind of understanding each other. I am very happy with the way police behave.
Listen, the police are paid to do what they're supposed to do. So if they're paid to come and stop something that's happening, they're going to come and stop something that's happening because they're being paid and told to do so. Right? It's following chain of command. But I've noticed a lot of cops that are actually very lenient with the people about their freedoms because they know they don't want to deal with this. We don't want to deal with them. They know that people just want to like enjoy life. The simplicity of that. We just want to enjoy life. If people want to wear a mask, let them wear a mask. I don't have a problem with somebody who wants to wear a mask. There's even some people who want to come out to these rallies wearing a mask because they want to hide their identity. I'm now telling everybody who comes out to these rallies, stop yelling at people who are wearing a mask. It's getting stupid now. After 14, 15 months, if you're going to yell at people wearing a mask, you've already wasted your breath and my energy and everybody out here in the movement, energy of getting a resolution. Let's not do that anymore.
You guys, YouTube is trying to get rid of us. They've deplatformed us, and we know we're going to be taken off any second. You have to go to rebelnews.com. We need your phone number or your email so that we keep in touch.
Have you noticed any businesses going underground so that they could still operate? If you've noticed this, why do you think they'd be doing that?
I've noticed a lot of individuals who have been operating their businesses for years, and they're sort of operating as individuals alone because they're at risk of losing their businesses when they try to operate behind closed doors.
It's getting more and more. At first it wasn't many, but as time goes on, business owners are getting fed up. They don't feel like they're supported, and it's more and more business. So I did find, especially a lot of underground clubs. Underground clubs.
Underground clubs.
Yeah, I found a lot of those.
Everything's gone underground. I had to order a barber on Kijiji to get my hair cut and come to my house. The businesses are all dead. We said this last year. Chris Guy said it. Vlad said it. We've all been saying it. Keep your businesses open because they won't survive.
You know, it's usually like something with fitness. You know, it seems to be those people that actually care about their health that are defying the lockdowns the most, like gyms and you know, businesses like that. But I'm from a pretty small town, and it's really just in the big cities and stuff. I feel like it's very selective with the small towns. Some towns it's just it's not okay. It wouldn't be supported, and then other towns it's a lot easier, right? So I think it's just where you're from, and people in smaller towns definitely need to, you know, get together more and start organizing stuff.
The thing is you're not seeing any businesses. You know, they've created an environment where they're afraid to even, you know, open underground because they've pitted the people against each other. So if there's any type of communication that might leak to someone who doesn't agree, they're making calls to the authorities and reporting businesses, which people now are just trying to make a living. People now are just trying to survive. It's been a year. Make it make sense. They can't. Let us get back to normal. Let's get back to doing what we're doing, and you know, just leave us alone. Otherwise, come and make it make sense. Because I think we're all responsible, right? We're all grown up. If it made sense, if the numbers added up, we would all probably wear masks, stay home, and shut down our businesses. But it doesn't. So when's it going to end? You know, like, it's okay. You can you can inflate and grow in your wealth and you know, your prosperity, while the rest of the country just is crushed. It's not right.
There are many small businesses underground operating. They just don't want the fanfare, but they have to do what they have to do to pay their bills. This government is not helping them. There's no subsidiary for like businesses that are just new. You know what I mean? I know several businesses right now that are still waiting to be open, but they can't get the final inspection because this government is trying to tell them that no, they can't do their business safely. Come on, who are you to tell a business that they can't do it safely? Are you in that business? Are you in that field? Are you really that wise, or are you just listening to what you want to make that decision on? And that's what people need to wake up and realize. So they need to be impenetrable. They need to be strong enough to believe in themselves and knowing that what they're going to do is not harming anybody else. But they're here to make a living and making a free living, and that's what we're here in Canada to do. Really, what else is there really else to do?
You know, and that makes me think, because for a lot of these jobs, like let's say you want to be a dentist, or let's say you want to do electrical work, it takes a lot of skill and a lot of time to figure out the right way of doing things. And now it seems like the government is trying to do everything for everyone. Do you think they're even nearly as close to the amount of skill required for every single job out there for them to manage?
Never. They never are. No one ever really is. Unless you are a professional in that trade doing it almost like, you know, 9, 10 hours, 12 hours of the day repeatedly. That's when you know you're a professional. That's when you can say, like, yeah, I have a knowledge of what's going on. The people that we have as elected officials have no knowledge of what the people are going through. It's like watching the show Undercover Boss. How many bosses have gone into and saw their employees and never knew what the heck was going on, my brother? They didn't have a damn clue. Right? That's what we're dealing with these elected officials and a lot of these government people in charge. They have no idea. But we're giving them the power to actually make this decision for us? Why are you continuously giving them that power? Why are you still voting into this system that doesn't work for you? Give it up now, man. Take it all back. If you want to have a better system, give them a vote of non-confidence in what they're doing. Stop accepting what they're trying to give you and dictate to you.
It's not really one area that we could focus on now. It's just like no more lockdowns, because the lockdowns now are far deadlier than COVID, and we don't even need to argue about inflated numbers. It's not even about numbers anymore. It's just, it's been a year, and lockdowns are killing people. And really, the COVID's not. You know, it's not. No more than any other year prior, and the stats will tell you that, right? We don't deny that people die every year of upper respiratory infections, but never before have as many people died from, overdoses, suicide, stuff like that, broken hearts even. Seniors dying alone, haven't seen their families for a year, and nobody's allowed to visit them. We're not even allowed to see or pay our respects and say our goodbyes. And the kids, man, so yeah, man, that's why we're here. It's this is far beyond a piece of cloth that we have to wear on our faces while we're shopping. This means that I'm here so that you can choose whether you want to do that or not without being blamed, maimed, or shamed, or ridiculed and chastised in public and made like you're some murderous maniac and your own, oh, my mask, my freedoms. It's nothing to do with that. This is about you choosing how you want to live your life without restriction or judgment from anybody else. I don't judge you. I have no reason to. I don't know enough about you, and even if I did, it's not my job. No matter what race, color, creed, religion, whatever you believe, what you eat, how you dress, whatever music you listen to, whatever walk of life you come from, what vehicle you drive, what team you cheer for, it doesn't matter. You should have a choice in how you live your life, how you conduct yourself, and I'm not responsible for that, no more than you're responsible for how I conduct myself.
Do you think the police issue stay-at-home tickets inconsistently with regards to other protests that we're seeing in the city?
Oh, there's obviously prejudice against an anti-lockdown protest, and I'll tell you that right now because I'm being brought to court before the court, the Ontario Superior Court, by the corporation and City of Barrie, Ontario. The mayor has filed an injunction on me, and what that injunction will rule is that I have no right to protest, to assemble, facilitate, organize, or participate in an anti-lockdown protest in the city of Barrie. Now, that's going to set a precedent for everybody across the country, because what that says is that they can silence any individual just because they have a different political or ideology other than these elected officials, right? So they're using taxpayers' dollars to crush a tax-paying citizen. And it's bigger than me, man. This is the Canadian government versus Canadians, and we do have right to peaceful assembly. There's so many other initiatives, right, that we need to speak up for. This is far more. This movement falls under the umbrella of every other movement. Everybody should have equal right to choose. Everybody should have equal right to medical transparency, government transparency, pharmaceutical company transparency. We as the people should have full disclosure of everything, and we don't. They're hiding it, and because we can see through it and we find it, now we're labeled conspiracy theorists because it's not on mainstream news. They're not saying nothing truthful on the news. So it's up to us to find our own sources, and listen, there's always three stories, yours, mine, and what's really going on. And we have to rely on the divine to discern that. Pardon my language, you can blank that out. But yeah, man, it's crazy to be labeled the names that we've been labeled. And I got people driving by my house. I got people filming us. I got death threats on a daily, naming me all these things. And I'm fighting for all those communities too. So it's insane, the narrative and how they've put it on us. And, I'm just here to promote, free will at the end of the day, anything, whether you decide to wear a mask or not. If you want to go and get the jab, I just pray that you have the proper information so that you can make an informed decisions. And they're teaching us now that for free ice cream, and if your favorite celebrity or movie star or basketball player goes on the gram and gets a shot, rolls their sleeve up, that's the cool thing to do. People are doing it and hiding behind their virtues to look like they're like, oh, I care, I did my part. When really all you did was allow the government to play out their part and what they're trying to do. People need to start thinking this is a lot bigger than wearing a stupid mask at Walmart. You're trying to shut down our businesses and our ability. Never mind that. Forget all of that. Keeping us 6 feet apart, muzzled, so we can't have human connection. And people need people. And once we put those people back over profit and put unity in the community, then we can win. We're 99%. We're 99%, man. It's time to stand up.
Big tech is coming for us. First it was YouTube, then it was PayPal. If you want to help us out, go to rebelnews.com. That's rebelnews.com. We'll tell you the other side of the story, which you're not going to see anywhere else. If you want to support that, rebelnews.com.